Looks like Pimm's Jace is just chump blocking as a lot of damage is being brought across here by Chris Lee. There's a Sylvan carry added. And what might be the problem here for Pimm is that Wishwood Elemental might be causing some real trouble here. There's a dissolve. Top card will go to the bottom here for Douglas.
And this feels like we are at Perilous Vault or bust.
Doing a check. I got in hostilities ×4. I think I got Perilous Vault ×0. Yeah, I think Douglas knows that he has no outs in that situation, so he will concede the game. Chris Lee will tie things up here against Douglas Pimm. Green-red devotion, blue-white control, getting ready for game number 3.
Not a great matchup typically for Green Devotion, but you saw two of the most important cards there for Green Devotion for this kind of matchup in Xenagos and Whisperwood Elemental. Those are two of the most important cards.
Yep.
They give you threats that allow you to have some staying power against end hostilities and other sweepers. If you're just curving out into, you know, Pelucranos, Dragon Lord Atarkas, and what have you, end hostilities will chew you up. But if you can diversify your range of attack, it's much harder for blue-white control to beat you with one card.
Well, these players will sideboard up here for game number 3. They've already got some of their sideboard cards in because we're joining this match in progress. But we'll start with Douglas Pimm since he'll be on the play. He's got a Faded Retribution, 2 negates, a Banishing Light, 4 Arashan Cleric, so he does not want to lose to mono red, that's for sure. 3 Master of the Unseen, a Pearl Kinction, a Disdainful Stroke, and then 2 copies of Revoke Existence.
I like the Disdainful Stroke in this matchup. I like the Banishing Light, the Faded Retribution. I think just another sweeper and some consistent spell removal.
Yeah, I like the Faded Retribution quite a bit in this matchup. It's a card that's really not on people's radar. It can definitely take Chris Lee by surprise.
Yeah, I think it's very good for this kind of matchup, especially given Pimm's vulnerability to Planeswalkers.
What do we see on Chris Lee's side?
4 Nihilia's Disciples, a Xenagos the Reveler, 2 Back to Nature, a Gaia's Revenge, 2 Plummet, and Nukin the Spirit Dragon, 4 copies of Roast. Like bring in the additional copy of Xenagos and the copy of Gaia's Revenge. Good in this matchup as well.
I would assume it's good against the blue control deck.
It's kind of what it's made for.
Well, game number 3 about to be underway between these two players. We will take a look at what these players are playing for this weekend as we make our way through all of these rounds. Of course, we do have the prizes that are available here on the Open Series and all of our main events. You see first place, $5,000, 25 Open Series points, and an invite to our Season 4 Invitational. Players that have made day 2 have gotten at least 3 Open Series points, and as we know that about 106 players have made day number 2 here, so 33rd through 64th will at least get $100 and 4 Open Series points, and you see how it scales here pretty nicely.
Yeah, the big benchmarks obviously here making day 2 for our players who are trying to get to the Players Championship. That extra 2 points, that's a big deal. The top 8 and the win. You know, those are the break points that are really significant. Though a lot of our players who have made the Players Championship, Danny Jessup comes to mind, were able to do that with a steady stream of top 16 and top 32 performances through a lot of Opens. So a lot of different ways to do it, but making day 2 a pretty significant jump point.
Hey, consistency is key.
Yes.
That's what Magic is all about. You're not going to win every tournament you play in. That's just the reality of this thing. But if you can consistently perform, as we've seen players like Kevin Jones, Danny Jessup, and Jim Davis do, you can qualify for that Players' Championship at the end of the year. Pimm starts things off with a Tranquil Cove. He's up to 21 from the gain land. Chris Lee with a Temple. He'll scry, and we'll move it along back to Pimm, who's got the Mage Ring Network. Okay. I like it.
Very good in any sort of slow matchup.
Big fan of this card.
The Andrew Cuneo Invitational card.
Indeed. Put a counter on that. For Lee, he just had another Temple, so he's off to a slow start this game, which is just how blue-white control likes it.
And Lee's list here, he does have 3 copies of Xenagos. He's probably boarded in the 4th one. His other cards to give him some staying power in this kind of matchup, 4 copies of Whisperwood Elemental, we talked about that, 3 copies of Genesis Hydra. A 2-for-1, also you can't counter whatever he's getting off the Genesis Hydra trigger. Those are the important cards.
Last Breath will take care of Shaman of Forgotten Ways. A card that I expect to see quite a bit of play once Battle for Zendikar comes out.
Yeah, there's going to be more need for mana creatures since the marquee ones of the format, Elvish Mystic and Caryatid, will be retiring.
Another Temple here for Lee. Top card will go to the bottom. Now there's a Morph. Pimm going to sacrifice a Flooded Strand here. He'll go back down to 20. Plains or Island on the way. And there is a basic island. We'll also continue to charge up that Mage Ring Network as well. Looks like another copy of Last Breath.
So far, so good for Pimm.
Yeah. He's doing exactly what blue-white control wants to do, which is control the threats, hit your land drops, work your way towards some card drawing, Faded Retribution the draw.
And with no mana acceleration on the other side of the table and the board being totally clear, Lee is just going to have to try to resolve stuff one spell a turn. And then the Dissolves and Disdainful Strokes in Pimm's deck become very powerful. This is exactly where blue-white control wants to be.
Well, the thing is, if you're Pimm, you got to stop his threats, though. You got to have the counter spells. You got to have a way to stop this annoying card in Whisper Elemental, but Clash of Wills gets that done, and you get to charge up your Mage Ring Network. Another land to play. Pretty good spot to be here if you're Douglas Pimm. If you're Chris Lee, you just got to keep presenting threats. He's going to try that again. Here's another Whisperwood Elemental. There's a Dissolve. That one's not going to resolve either. Time to scry. Top card to the bottom. Get the charge the network again. Ochai's Command was the draw.
Another great draw.
Yeah, there's a Haven of the Spirit Dragon.
And Lee is not quite out, but he has none of his resistant threats right now. It looks like Dragon Lord, Atarkas, and a Rattleclaw Mystic.
Yep. He'll sacrifice a Wooded Foothills, get a basic forest out of the deck. Colors aren't going to be an issue for the Green-Red Devotion deck here.
And now what Pimm is really on the hunt for is just some 2-for-1 to bury him. I mean, Ochai's Command, that's great here. Dig Through Time is the real prize.
Yep. Just some card drawing now to gas back up. There's a Dissolve, Tranquil Cove. All these 1-for-1 trades taking place while Pimm keeps charging up the Mage Ring Network. There's a Temple. Here's a Morph.
And that Morph may have to be countered here from Pimm if he respects the possibility of Den Protector.
Yep.
If he's 100% sure it's Rattleclaw Mystic, he can let it go.
And Hostility's the draw. Pimm will pass the turn back. Lee will draw. He'll come across here for 2. And if Lee did not unmorph on the end step, I think you're okay to let this go. Up to 7 goes the network. Flooded Strand the draw. Back over to Lee we go. Pimm not willing to cash in one of these mass removal effects just yet.
Not on this board. This might be enough to warrant the end hostilities, especially because Pimm can cast it and leave up Dissolve.
He'll sacrifice a Flooded Strand. Looks like he'll get a basic island here. I like casting in Hostilities here instead of Faded Retribution because Retribution can take care of Planeswalkers.
Yeah, I like untap and cast end hostilities. You get to leave up Dissolve mana, and Faded Retribution gets you out of some weird squeezes.
Yep. Charge it up. Take a draw. Another end hostilities. Makes it even easier to cash one in.
Now it's not, before it was maybe close, now it's not close.
So there goes Chris Lee's board. Bunch of mana. Dragonlord Atarka. Might be fine letting this resolve.
Just end hostilities yet
again.
again.
You can just trade 1-for-1 here.
Yeah, I put a real premium on the counter spells here. I guess the critique of this line of play, it is worse against Genesis Hydra. Because end hostility is better against Genesis Hydra.
Dissolve's better against that one.
Against Ugin. Okay, so there we go.
All right, what's the draw now? Elspeth. Hey, a way to win.
All right, awesome.
As far as drawing it up goes, not sure Douglas Pimm could draw it up any better this game.
He's had answers on curve.
And now he's exhausted all of Lee's resources, and now he has a way to win the game.
And even if Lee draws fairly well from here, it's still going to be a problem. You see, he's drawn Xenagos. Xenagos, one of his best cards in the matchup, but not very good right now.
Yeah, stinks right now. And if anything goes really wrong, it's really nice to have the reset button of Faded Retribution.
Exactly. This just forces more and more action from Lee to be able to keep up with the board, and that makes Faded Retribution a backbreaker if Pimm ever needs to pull the trigger on it.
The network is up to 10. Looks like a Temple of Enlightenment. Take a look at that top card. Pimm will leave that on top pretty quickly. Elspeth up to 6. I think the goal here is to get an emblem and then maybe Fated Retribution everything away. We'll see.
As long as this is going on, Pimm can just hang out here, block, trade off stuff.
Yep.
No rush to do anything.
Chump block city.
With Fated Retribution in hand, I think he's got an incentive just to trade off resources, induce more plays out of Lee, and take it from there.
A Hornet Queen. Let Elspeth fall down a little bit there. So 4 Hornets will join the Queen. Haven't seen that one for a while. Chris Lee just playing off the top of his deck, trying to present the best threats possible. And Pimm still with Fated Retribution in hand.
Now remember, he knows about the top card of his deck, so if it's some big play, he may want to Fated Retribution now. I doubt that's the case because he has the Mage Ring network. He has, I don't want to say unlimited mana, but it's pretty close.
Looks like he'll attack over towards Xenagos. Couple of blocks here to leave it alive. Now, what I like here if I'm Pimm is I like saying activate Elspeth with that effect on the stack, cast Fated Retribution.
Right, so when Fated Retribution, you still have played Fated Retribution on your own turn.
Correct.
But it will resolve before Jace's activation, Elspeth's activation resolves.
I'm not sure if he knows that interaction or not to hold priority of his own activation and own spell.
It's possible that he feels that bleeding an extra play or 2 out of Lee is more valuable than having 3 tokens left over.
Sure.
Because Lee's board is not so good that if he draws something powerful, he's going to elect not to do anything with it. He Pimm may be able to hold off on a turn or 2 of playing the Fated Retribution and get another top deck out of Lee for his trouble.
Well, there goes Elspeth.
Because 3 tokens against a Devotion player of 27 is not worth a whole lot.
And now here's
And now
Tarka.
Pimm got really paid off for being patient.
Yep.
This is perfect for Pimm. He took a little bit of a chance here, trying to get more out of Lee by holding back on the Fated Retribution, and now is going to get a top deck Dragon Lord Tarka on top of everything else.
It looks like he might be casting this end of turn.
Now this I do not like from Pimm.
Neither do I.
With all the mana that he has from the Mage Ring network, I would have preferred to untap because scrying right now is really important for Pimm.
Yeah, both these players are basically playing off the top of their deck. Now there's a Jace. I mean, Pimm gets to start out ahead here, but he's got so much mana. If you're going to have a Mage Ring network of 12 mana out there, you might as well use it.
Yeah, scrying for 2 right now because the lands that Pimm draws are worth very, very little, and his best spells may lock up the game.
Yeah. There's Pelucranos, but not enough mana to be able to play and activate to kill Jace. Mage Ring network will move up. Tempo of Enlightenment the draw. Looks like Temple is where Pimm will start. That card's going to go to the bottom. Now here's a Jace activation. It'll be flipping momentarily because there are a million cards in the graveyard. 5 counters is where the Telepath Unbound will start. Let's see what Jace is flashing back. Probably on hostilities?
Yeah.
Yep.
I think he wants to save the Fated Retribution for a better board.
Yep. Also, Fated Retribution would just kill the Jace as well, so. Here's Whisperwood Elemental off the top, but Ochtai's Command going to counter that and draw a card.
Whisperwood Elemental was exactly the card that could have gotten Lee back into this game too, because it's good against sweepers. So that's a heartbreaker for Lee.
There's actually a great 2 draw steps here from Pimm as well. Ochtai's Command netted him an Elspeth. His draw step netted him a Dissolve. So there is Elspeth. That'll move up to 5 3 soldier tokens on the way. A counterspell at the ready. And he hasn't even used Jace yet this turn. It'll just tick up to 3 for now.
And now he's got flashback on Fated Retribution ready in case something happens. Dissolve.
There's the Xenagos. Chris Lee's not, he refuses to draw land. That's for sure.
Which is interesting enough with one more with one more land there, he would have been able to fight Jace the turn that he drew
Yep.
Polukranos, but he was a mana short.
Dissolve will take care of Xenagos. Top card goes to the bottom. Majoring Network's going to move up.
I think that I would have preferred not to fight over the Xenagos here. I think Pimm has more enough resources to manage it with the Elspeth, and especially with Jace. Jace plussing shuts down a Satyr for its troubles. And that Dissolve is very precious.
Got Elspeth up to 6 now. Those 3 islands should be on tap for Douglas Pimm. Jace looks like it's going to be cashed in here on Ochtai's command.
Not sure what Pimm is on the hunt for here exactly. I suppose he can get his Jace back and draw a card. Okay,
yeah.
So he's sort of getting a freebie here.
Plus a card, down nothing, I guess.
Yeah, he gets to untap, loot again, reset the Jace up to a higher number.
Yep. And now he gets to pass the turn back with the Jace and a Flooded Strand in hand.
So a little bit of fanciness, but basically free.
Yep. What's Chris Lee draw?
I think he might have finally drawn a land.
Did he finally find a land? I think he did. He put up a heck of an effort with those draw steps, but everything is lined up beautifully here for Pimm.
Yep. There was a couple spots where it looked like Pimm was close to maybe having a hiccup, but he had some pretty timely draws here.
Jace to go active. Looks like Pimm is going to discard a redundant copy of Jace.
Not happy with that. He's getting an Elspeth emblem next turn. That could have been an attacker.
That's true.
Could have had Jace beatdowns for the first time.
Down to 2. Let's see what's going to happen here. Going to Ochtai's command this back and draw a card. Dig through time to draw.
Good. The emblem play
I know
still
you,
on.
I know you want Jace to attack. I understand. Up to 7 goes Elspeth. 3 soldiers coming, and then we could see Jace Vryn's Prodigy into the red zone here.
I think that will be a first.
I know that it'll be a first. That I'm positive of. But Chris Lee says, you do not get to attack with Jace. I will concede the game first. Douglas Pimm going to win this game and match over Chris Lee. 2-1. Blue-white control will take care of green-red devotion. As we saw in that game, everything lined up perfectly there for Douglas Pimm.
Sweepers and counter spells is a good mixture. Hard for green devotion to win without getting something like Whisperwood Elemental or Xenagos to stick. And even with some of those cards, they need to enter play as soon as possible, because once blue-white control establishes